All right. Well, it turns out that the Democrats forcefully removed Biden from office. He was threatened to step down, and if he didn't, they were going to hit him with the 25th Amendment. Let's take a look at some of the news reports behind that.
I know yesterday's news is surprising and it's hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do.
Not as surprising as he may think, as the White House and Biden's own family offer conflicting accounts on whether his health influenced his decision to drop out. We're now learning that top Democrats reportedly threatened to forcibly remove Joe Biden from office unless he resigned. Of course, I was questioning who wrote the tweet, because he, of course, did so by tweet. Joining me now is former senior advisor to the Clintons, Stagwell chairman and CEO, and the Harris poll chairman, Mark Penn. Mark, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. Give us your reaction to all of this.
Well, it's a new day. I think that the Democratic leadership did what they had to do. Joe Biden wasn't cutting it. Donald Trump beat Joe Biden too early. It wasn't election day. And so now they just put a new batter at bat, and there's no time for much examination, a sugar rush, all the money, enthusiasm. It's going to be a new day, a new race. She doesn't start out with very good ratings, but I think she's going to get a huge push from the media.
Let's get into it, because we're trying to understand what this ticket looks like. Apparently, former Attorney General Eric Holder has been tapped to vet Kamala Harris's potential running mates. That tells me that Obama is running the show if he's choosing Eric Holder to do this. Obama is obviously in charge, and Obama still has not officially endorsed Kamala Harris. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that the campaign has requested vetting materials from potential VP picks, including many of the names that we've talked about. North Carolina, Governor Roy Cooper, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, whose name has been mentioned as a possible pick, tells CNN that he has not yet been asked to submit materials. So what do you think, Mark? Who's the candidate, you think, for vice president? Who will work alongside Kamala if, in fact, she does become the official nominee?
Well, most people think Josh Shapiro out of Pennsylvania is probably the most likely one. They're looking to kind of get a little bit of a swing state lift from the nominee. They'll have a great opportunity here. The Republican convention is over, so the media now switches from the Trump assassination to who's she going to pick, how's she going to run, what's her message, a free week of TV eventually after the Olympics with the Democratic convention. This is a pretty good setup here, and she's got a wide range of people to pick from, and I think it's going to be whoever she picks. It's going to be a celebrated choice. No real foreign policy experience. Doesn't seem to be a qualification for president or vice president anymore.
Well, that's a good point there, because foreign affairs have become so important given national security issues with the open border. We were the first to report that Josh Shapiro was being seriously looked at. You think that's largely because Pennsylvania has become a swing state?
Well, also he's got a good image. I think he'll cut a good figure. Pennsylvania is an incredibly important swing state. If they can lock that in or get an edge on that one, it takes a lot of pressure off of the campaign. And the direction in which the polling was going, as you know, was all sliding southward.
Yeah, and you know, there's reports that Democrats were willing to forcibly remove him from the White House if he kept digging in. What do you make of that?
I think that Obama, Schumer, and Pelosi here realized that they had to switch out the nominee. There was really no choice, and they were going to get that done. Exactly how they were going to do it, they were going to apply increasing pressure to Biden and his family, which they did, and then they were going to make a deal. And probably Biden said, look, I'll go, but Harris has to be it, because I want my administration and my legacy to be furthered through the Harris nomination. And I think that's what you're seeing.
All right, Mark, we will keep watching this and talk with you along the way. Thank you so much. We so appreciate your time.
Thank you, Maria.
Mark Penn joining us.
So there you go. You heard it. Joe Biden was forced out. Power players Obama, Pelosi, and Schumer went to him, told him he needs to step aside. or they were going to force him out. And obviously, the only way to do it was to embarrass him via the 25th Amendment. So let's take a look at some of our colleagues overseas and what they think of the situation. Let's take a look.
For us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
Does she even know what she's saying? To discuss this and more, I am joined by Media Research Centre Vice President Dan Schneider. Dan, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Kamala Harris is now vowing to win the party's nomination. Here she is rolling out one of her many cringeworthy lines.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been, you know? What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
Dan, is this seriously the woman who could possibly be the next president of the United States?
Well, shockingly, it is possible she could be the next president of the United States, Danica. But what we're also understanding here is that there is a massive burden on her shoulders that she is not unburdened by, and that massive burden is named Barack Obama. We are actually still in the beginning of the civil war within the Democrat Party, the Clintons versus the Obamas. And this little civil war has been playing out with the nomination, the presumed nomination of Joe Biden, until Barack Obama began to push him out of the way.
So do you think then others will put their hand up in the Democrats?
I think most Democrats are sitting back trying to figure out if, in fact, Barack Obama has the clout and the ability to force Kamala Harris out of the way. You know, it's a tricky battle because the Democrat Party here in America, of course, is so wed to the DEI effort that on its face, it looks like pushing her out of the way would anger the Black Democrat caucus here in our Congress. But with Barack Obama trying to undermine her, anything is possible.
And with Biden's announcement, it was clearly not a matter of if, but when. Did the Democrats push Biden out only because America found out about his cognitive state, do you think? I mean, they've been covering it up for years, then led a coup in recent weeks to push him out.
Right. He's been impaired for a number of years. During the 2020 election, when we had our COVID election, he was, of course, Biden in the basement, campaigning from the basement. The storyline was that they were letting Donald Trump hang himself. But in fact, anytime we did see Biden speak, we could tell that he was not the same orator that he had been before. I would not have ever called him a gifted orator, but he certainly had the gift of the gab. But in 2020, he had lost that edge. And throughout his administration, we saw that decline rapidly.
Yes, you're right. It has certainly been a long time coming. Look, the Democrats have accused Trump of being a threat to democracy, yet voters won't even be given a chance to elect a nominee in the primaries. It's been a complete waste of time. Is that lack of official process a threat to democracy now in itself?
Well, of course, selecting the Democrats' next nominee without a single U.S. citizen actually going to the ballot box to vote for him is very undemocratic. I know that many Republicans have tried to call hypocrisy. I doubt that that argument is going to resonate with the American public. They will think that, you know, that the Democrats ought to be able to have somebody running who, you know, can put two brain cells together. But you are right, Danica. This is a very undemocratic process that the Democrats are pursuing right now. It sort of calls a lie to the name of their own party. It's an undemocratic Democrat Party.
What do the Democrats and media have to do to redeem themselves after years of lying to Americans?
Well, Americans have a short memory, Danica. It will not take long before this is a thing in the past. Our legacy media here in the United States will very aggressively push whoever the ultimate nominee is for the Democrats. The media here will rally behind that person to try to prevent Donald Trump from being reelected to the presidency. And then, frankly, regardless of how this next election turns out, the media will continue to push against Republicans supporting the Democrat and we're gonna be back to the same situation within 12 months of this next election.